This is how I do my taper haircuts, and this is a good friend of mine, Justin. I cut his hair all the time, so I know his hair pretty well. As you can see, I'm combing his hair down, and with the number three guard lever open, I'm going with the grain. I just found this technique out, and it's very, very efficient and very helpful into debulking hair and making sure it blends in properly. As you can see, like you can see some hair being cut, and it's all bulk. That's all bulk. Everything's blending in properly. Now I'm going with the grain. I'm going on top of it. I mean, from bottom to the top. So that's against the grain. I mean, I'm going against the grain, combing the hair down, and everything is blending in smoothly. It's almost like if I don't really need any comb work or clipper over comb, shear over comb, thinning shears over comb. Now, if you want to make the transition a little smoother, obviously, yeah, you can use it. And I believe I do end up using some of that to make sure everything blends in 100% seamlessly. But all my haircuts are 30 minutes long. So I don't want to say I skip steps, but I try to find the most efficient steps possible to get my clients in and out with the highest possible quality of finish or finish of quality. I don't know how to speak English. But anyway, we're combing the hair down, and I believe my next step is going to be with a trimmer. I guess we're still debulking hair. Usually you do want to make sure that before you start your fading process, at least the way I like to cut hair, I want to make sure that everything's blended in properly because I don't want to do the whole fade and then have to come and retouch everything. As you can see right now, I'm going clipper over comb, and I just want to make sure everything is properly blended so that when I cut the top of the hair, I don't have to cut this side because it's already cut. Everything's cut, everything's blended in. I'm just cutting the middle part of the top of his head. I hope that makes sense. Now I'm going with my trimmer and I'm making my first guideline. And please take notice on how short it takes me to make this guideline. When I first started cutting hair, I struggled doing this. Look, I'm with my half, and it's really that simple, guys. Do not overcomplicate this step. When I first started cutting hair, I was so scared to cut hair. I know what it's like to barely be starting. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Just make your guideline and move on. Is there's plenty of time to detail at the end of the haircut. Now, I do recommend having a clean canvas and making sure your lines are clean, but they don't have to be perfect. All right? You can see me blowing my client off right now. No diddy. But anyway, I'm gonna start brushing the hair down, making sure all the hairs that need to be cut are cut. Now I have the 1.5 guard lever open. I try to keep my lever open about 95% of the haircut. And this 1.5 guard lever open blends in smoothly into the 3 guard. You're gonna see it's very, very, very smooth. I'm not neglecting the C cup area. Also, when I first started cutting hair, I used to neglect that part so heavy, and my haircuts looked so bad because they looked so bulky, and it just doesn't look good, guys. Make sure you don't leave all that bulk. Like, don't. People are not gonna come back to you if you're leaving that area bulky. Right here, I'm showing you guys a different angle of the flick of the wrist that I'm always talking about. You see how the top of my comb or the top of my clipper is always facing the wall. I'm never digging into his hair. Once you dig into the hair, you start making really tough, hard guidelines that are super hard to blend. But when you do it the way I'm doing it right now, everything blends in perfectly, and you have a lot less hard of a time to blend in all the lines. And that is a direct product, or I guess that equals to you blending smoother and quicker. So make sure you're keeping that C motion flick throughout the whole haircut. And by the way, this haircut took me 24 minutes, and that was with like a minute or two of me setting my camera up and talking with my client before that because we always fuck around every time we see each other 'cause he's a really good friend of mine. But now I have the 2 guard lever open, and I'm just making sure it just blends in 100% smoothly. Like I said, the 1.5 guard blends it pretty smooth already, but I kind of just want to give it that extra step make sure that all the hairs are like cut the way they should be cut. And you can see that it took me maybe like 30 seconds, right? I didn't take too much time on it. I do it and then I go on to the next step. This is my one guard lever open and I'm blending down. I know where I left off with my 1.5 guard, and I in my head I'm like, okay, I don't want to go any higher than my 1.5 guard. But the beauty about blending down is that if you do go higher than the 1.5 guard, you're not gonna make a hard line. I hope I'm not confusing you guys, by the way. Try to keep along. But when you're blending down, if you go too high up, it's very, very easy to not make a harsh line. Because when you're blending down, you keep that C motion, everything's kind of blending in together. Look, this is my half guard, and the fade is pretty much done. And we are, I believe, 5 minutes into this video. And the fade is pretty much done. It's already blended into the top. I think I take a little extra time than I should just because I think this was his graduation cut, and he's like, "Oh, get me right." Not that I never get him right, or not that I'm trying any harder than I usually do, but my boy's gonna be in front of everybody walking the stage, so he's graduating elementary school. No, I'm just playing. Anyway, right now we're getting that C cup. It's nice and dark, but like I said, there's not too much bulk in there. If you leave too much bulk, I guarantee you people will not come back to you. I used to make this mistake as well. People would come back, and I thought to myself, "Oh, I'm gonna leave that area bulky and dark because it just makes the haircut look good." And yeah, sure, it makes the haircut look good if it's not too bulky. Like with a number 2 guard or a 3 guard, it's still bulky, but it's not too bulky. But some people blend into the hair that they have there without cutting it, and then they just fucking like start lining it up, and then, oh yeah, it's a good haircut. No, guys, it's not a good haircut. People do not want to come into the barbershop to pay 40, 50, 60, $70 and then leave with the sideburns blended and everything else the same. People don't want that. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the people that you're cutting, all right? Do you want to wait a month or 2 months, go into a barbershop, ask for a fade, and people literally, and the barber just blends into the ridge of your haircut and only cuts the bottom of it and doesn't cut anything above that? No, I would be pissed. I'm like, dude, I didn't wait a single month and pay $50, and then on top of that, I have to tip you, and you barely cut my hair. No, 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 I'm not doing that. Um, anyway, now we're going with the back. You see how it was nice and smooth. It took me 7 minutes to do that side, and now we're going straight into the back, and we're gonna do the same thing, guys. Do not overcomplicate. You are just cutting hair, okay? It is just cutting hair. It's very simple. I'm not saying it's easy. It's just simple, okay? Right here, I want to make sure that my first guideline is pretty straight, and I try to measure it by the earlobes. I want to make sure is a symmetrical, as symmetrical as possible, because when it's not, it just doesn't make the taper look right. And I also don't want to get flamed on by everybody in the comments like, "Oh my God, your tapers are not symmetrical. You fucking suck at cutting hair," or whatever. Guys, look, first of all, I'm not trying to be the best at cutting hair. If you think you're better than me, or if you are better than me, good for you. Like, honestly, like, great on you. I My goal is not to cut hair for the longest time, even though I have been cutting hair for a long time, so it's kind of dumb for me to say. But I'm here to teach you guys how to get people in your hair, in your chair, out your chair, and maximize the amount of money that goes in your pocket, along with the amount of relationships that you will build by just being a cool motherfucker. That's it, guys. Like, being having great vibes around you while you're cutting hair is the most important part of being a barber. People literally, look, guys, there's some people, honestly, not that they've told me, but there's just some people that come just to talk to me because it's just I guess like barbers are like therapists almost, right? And they almost don't give a fuck whether I fuck their haircut up or not. Obviously I don't. Obviously I give everyone a great haircut, but listen, keep a great vibe around you and people will come back to you. On top of that, pair it up with a great haircut or a good haircut, great customer service. Don't be that barber that's always like, "Hey, come in at 10," and then you either cancel or you tell them, "Hey, I had something to do, come in at 12 or come in at 1 or come in at 4." No, guys, like if you're 5, 10 minutes late, look, I'm not a hypocrite. I'm usually 5, 10 minutes late. Whatever. It is what it is. My clients know that already, and I'm not gonna say they're cool with it, but they understand that, so they plan accordingly. That being said, just don't be the barber that tells people to show up and then you never show up. Be a great, have a great vibe around you. And I want to talk about a video that I posted, I believe 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was this really picky guy. His name is Joseph. He's my homie. It was my first time cutting his hair, and a lot of people were giving backlash because he was too picky. Listen, guys, if you cannot handle a client that is quote unquote too picky or cares, look, people care about their hair, okay? If you can't handle a client that cares about their hair and you don't know how to go around it and actually provide the service that any of these clients need, then you're never gonna build your clientele. Now I understand there's such thing as too picky, and if someone is too picky in my chair, I will tell them, hey, you know what? No disrespect, but you're just too picky. Your haircut's not worth it for me. Like if it's taking me 40, 50 minutes for this person to get like quote unquote the perfect haircut, I will straight up tell them, hey, you know what? It's not worth my time. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to go somewhere else. You're gonna have to go to a barber that takes an hour long on haircuts. I don't do that. I take 30 minutes, and that's pretty much all you get. But you need to learn how to handle those clients. You can't just be like, oh yeah, this person's too picky. No, there's such thing as, hey, I just really want a good haircut, and I think you're the barber that can provide that great haircut for me because I've seen your work, and that's just the type of expectations that your work should give new clients. If a new client comes into your chair because they saw your work on or they saw somebody's haircut that you gave them, then obviously they're here because they like your work and they think your work is great. So they expect greatness from you. So don't think to yourself, oh, this guy's too picky. No, listen, you are that good. All right. You are that good. And that's why people are coming to you. That being said, wow, I yapped for 5 minutes and the haircut's pretty much done. It's 11:30 and we're done with the haircut. You can see the time in the background. It says 10:42. I think it took me another 12 minutes to finish the rest of the haircut. I'm gonna show you guys an after right now. I hope you guys enjoy the advice that I give you. And keep in mind, I tell this to everybody. Just how when you go to the gym and a muscular dude tells you, yeah, it's not really about how many times you go to the gym or the effort that you put in the gym. It's all about what you eat, like 70% what you eat, 20, 30% gym. I'm going to keep repeating it and until I sound annoying. It's 30% how good you are at cutting hair and 70% customer service. Work on your customer service, work on having a positive vibe around you, and that's all you're going to attract. Yes, I'm getting philosophical. Thanks for watching.